Now, I think that we could all agree here that Jada Pinkett Smith is absolutely one person that we could call a narcissist, a pathological liar, someone that really likes to manipulate others out there, and let's not forget about someone who has no remorse over the consequences that she creates and any kind of ramifications as a result of either what she says or does in her life. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith has been on this endless train of promoting her book and really just putting it out there. We know that she's going to go on the Howard Stern show via Sirius XM at the later portion of this month, around the last week or the last couple of days, to kind of call out NBC/SNL for what they did by mocking her. And it makes sense because we know that Howard Stern does not like NBC, so that kind of really fits in there. But what's even more interesting has a lot to do with what Jada Pinkett Smith had to actually say about Will Smith, and literally mocks the guy, then goes on to act all genuine toward the guy. Now, I'm not defending Will Smith based on what he did at the Oscars of 2022, not by any means. But he is obviously trapped in a toxic relationship/marriage with Jada Pinkett Smith. There's no doubt about that. Something is keeping him locked in there, we just don't know what, and we may very well never learn. So let's get into all of this. Now, we know that Jada Pinkett Smith has said numerous things about Worthy, alright? Which I like to call cringeworthy. That's what her book should really be called. Kind of keep that in your mind there. What's really alarming here is that with Jada Pinkett Smith currently promoting her new book, she went on to further deliver her response toward the outrage against her revelations. Now, Jada delivered the following to everyone. The greatest thing about this opportunity and what it gave me in life is how it has for surely changed Will as a man. Before my book, I thought he was less of a man and really needed some fixing. And at first, he was completely against me and my support for even putting this book out. He just didn't want me to pursue what kind of success at first I was going to actually chase with the revelations I had in mind. But I fixed him, I taught him lessons on how to be the man that he needs to be, and that's why he is very content with our secrets going out to the world. Our biggest challenge was how we were going to deliver that revelation that we were split for years. And well, we weren't that happy about how that was received by people and by different television programs. I have been called many things, I won't lie about that, and if it weren't for me being the right woman to rise Will up to be a proper man, I don't know where I would be today. Before I wrote this book, Will really needed to change. He wasn't really suitable for me as a woman, and wasn't really satisfying in many areas. Gee, Jada, I wonder what you're talking about there. Now, what's interesting about this, she goes on to continue. What I love is about all of this is how much Will was willing to change for me as a person and as a woman. He was a great fixer-upper in my view, and it was long overdue. Now guys, let me just pause here quick. Now, the thing about Jada Pinkett Smith, I don't know why I am a little freaked out about this, but it almost comes across like Will himself is stuck and being manipulated and changed by Jada Pinkett Smith, and this is why he's going along with all these revelations being put out in her book and what she's willing to drop in the future with more books. Now, I've made this very clear. I would not be surprised if she did not actually write this book herself and sit down at a desk and type away. A lot of these celebrities, believe it or not, I don't know if you knew this, most, not all, I gotta be very specific there, hire ghostwriters from a ghostwriting agency. They basically just tell them their story, their life story, or their fictional story, whatever it may be, and they take that story and turn it into a book. That's basically all what usually happens, and I would not be shocked if Jada Pinkett Smith did nothing more than sit down with the ghostwriter for a day, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks tops, told her the whole story, and he or she just turned it into a book. Now, what's interesting about this, though, is she's going on about Will Smith and how he was at one point less than a man, and that he was not satisfying in certain areas. And it really makes you think, what areas was he not, satisfactory for Jada Pinkett Smith? That's really interesting, the fact that she's going out of her way to kind of mock this guy and to make him seem very much pathetic as a person. Now look, we know that he made a very, very bad move at the Oscars of 2022. Alright? I will admit, I did not like that at all. I do not support of him slapping Chris Rock. I thought it was really ridiculous and really unprofessional, quite frankly. But apart from that, in isolation, apart from that, I had no problems with Will Smith. You know, I thought that he was, a really great actor, and he still is with his past movies at least. And before the whole Oscars slap, I mean, he really was someone that seemed pretty, charismatic. And really, that kind of whole situation seemed to have actually, rippled that apart. What's interesting, though, is she goes on to actually, allude further. I will say his actions on stage at the Oscars were, of course, wrong and created a setback for how I was trying to fix him the best I could, but he dealt with that and stayed quiet for a while, and I had him just focus on life. And that's what he is doing now. I taught him how it's important to stand by my side, and our family, split or not split, married or divorced, doesn't matter. He has a family to look out for and to stay as a valued father. I am happy to announce that I am working on a follow-up to Worthy that will dive into how I managed Will and really changed his life for me and for the family. But it's a long ways off, and I don't know when that story of mine will be able to fall in the hands of strangers around the world. I just am so eternally grateful that Will was open to transform himself for me and only me, after he was so opposed to changing. His many secrets, I will say that, he's got many, and we are figuring out how to bring that out. He's opposed to it now, but I think in time he will learn it's best to let everyone know about everything in his life and mine. It's just the right thing to do for the people. Guys, can I just say one thing here about Jada Pinkett Smith? She loves to say me, myself, several times, way too many. What's interesting, though, about this, too, is when you look at Jada Pinkett Smith, I mean, she's going on talk shows like crazy, and she's going on all these different podcasts, these radio shows, different interviews, endlessly, one after the other. Like I said, Howard Stern show, I don't like the guy, to be honest. I'm not a supporter of Howard Stern, but I'm not shocked that she's running to him to call out NBC and to call out SNL for mocking her and how she claims SNL mocked Will Smith. And you know what? It's her fault at the end of the day. She is the one that put this book out on store shelves. She is the one that was asking for this to happen. And she could have just shied away from making this book and just kept her revelations a secret. Now, in her view, these secrets should not be kept a secret. There are certain things that Will is opposed to right now, like she said, and how she's trying to convince him to be very supportive of that going public. So you can see how she's being very manipulative and saying all these things to everyone out there in, the public eye, viewing her as someone that's really just acting like a puppeteer of Will Smith. That's how at least I see things and how a lot of other people see it as well. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.